So moving on, though, to probably what's going to be more of an interesting review to go next is John Petrucci with Terminal Velocity. Judging on the chat we were having earlier today, we'll see how this one plays out.
Now, if you're going to start that, Andrew, I'm going to start giving scores out in the game. So.
Fine. I'll just move along and keep it business and professional for you, okay, Mick? It's 9 tracks for 55 minutes. It's the second solo studio album from the American guitarist, most known for his work with Dream Theater. Released August 2020 via Rensam Songs and Soundmind Music. Produced by John, but mixed and mastered by Andy Sneap. This is his first solo album since 2005 and also features Mike Portnoy, which happens to make this the first time the two have worked together since Mike left Dream Theater. So let's go to Dave first. Where do you land on this one? Here we go.
Okay. If you're a fan of John Petrucci, you know what you're going to get. Okay. There's going to be no surprises for you. Actually, there is a surprise. We'll get to that later. And, oh, my God, it is so good to hear Petrucci playing with Mike Portnoy again. Some musicians just have styles that complement each other. And these guys have been playing music since about 1985, I think. So this is what's been missing from Dream Theater. They just connect musically on a level that's beyond anything that people can understand.
Are they soulmates, Dave?
What's that?
Are they soulmates?
Yeah, they're still friends, which is good. Even though more things can happen, they're still
mates. Dave's soulmates.
Yeah.
In Dave's world, they are.
I'm with William Zabka and Axl Rose.
I reckon Dave's got a room full of fan fiction.
Cobra Kai, Dream Theater, and Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. We'll go on a tour one day. We'll do an interview. It's all good. There's some really nice diversity throughout this album. There's the heavy, which you will expect, and there's some mellow. There's some very melodic stuff, and there's the shred. I'm actually surprised how restrained he is, because we know he could rip it up a lot more than what he does, but he actually sticks a lot to the melodic playing, which is actually nice to hear because he's really good at what he does. There were a few times that I was expecting to hear James LeBray's vocals come out, where a verse or a chorus would be. That's probably because of the Portnoy-Petrucci element. It's so close to Dream Theater, you would expect the vocals to come in, which it doesn't. I know some people were put off Dream Theater by the length of the songs, but this is really easy to listen to because songs range from about 5 to 7 minutes. Great guitar tone, got to compliment that. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a bit of a surprise. There's a song called Out of the Blue, which I'm getting a bit of a Stevie Ray Vaughan vibe off that. If you know the songs Lenny, or I can't remember the other one, but it's on one of his later albums, Rivera Paradise or something. Some of that mellow melodic playing. Yeah, you get that on that. But you also get the killer stuff like Glassy-Eyed Zombies, which was probably a major highlight for me. Other candidates were Snake in My Boot, Happy Song, and Temple of Circadia. I gave this 9 out of 10. Awesome album.
All right, Tim, follow that up.
I was going to make a joke about how, I didn't really research this album, but I was going to make a joke about how, his current drummer plays exactly like his ex, but it turns out it is his ex. Yeah. Anyway, this is
sorry to let you down, Timbo.
Pardon?
Sorry to let you down with that, mate. So.
It's unfortunate, but whatever. As I say, I ripped off those fills as well.
On the new Eat the Damn Orange.
Eat the Damn Orange, yeah.
But what I was going to say is this is an instrumental album. It's a guitar lover's dream. But this is a very well put together instrumental album. This has a lot of instrumental albums fall into the mistake of either trying to overcompensate for the vocals and going too far with it, or they end up just writing regular songs where you listen to it and you think you may as well have just stuck in vocals and it would have made the whole thing a whole lot better. He's written this specifically for a guitar, and he's got all the tones right. Everything sounds great. There's melody, there's motifs, and he's telling a story without actually having to say any words, and it's fantastic. I think this is a really well put together album. Out of the Blue and Happy Song are my highlights, and I'll go 8.5 out of 10 as well.
Wow. Okay, cool. Brendan, over to you.
Mick first.
Oh, Mick first. Okay, Mick. Right. You've had the hospital handball thrown your way, mate. So
no, that's all right. Yeah, for me, this one, look, I I agree with Dave to a small point, and that is the fact that Portnoy and Petrucci, there's something about that connection that is missing on later Dream Theater albums after the Portnoy is split. Although Mangini has gotten better, or maybe has gelled more with the band over the years, there's a chemistry between Petrucci and Portnoy that it can't be replicated with anybody else. And you hear it back on here, and that's what makes you go, geez, this is Dream Theater back, you know. That's the problem with this album for me. Other than the guitar tone, which was a really left-of-field guitar tone I thought he used for the majority on this album, you know, it was almost like an 80s David Lee Roth sort of sound. It was very light. It was sort of, I don't know,
glassy.
it was sort of, you know, it wasn't heavy and dark like more recent Dream Theater albums. It was definitely that was what I appreciated the most out of it. But for me, it was like these were leftover ideas from like Octavarium era Dream Theater, which is the more melodics in recent times, I guess, which is kind of going back maybe 15 years ago, that album. But I just didn't, if you're going to branch out from your major project, it's got to be a lot different. You know, I have the same problem with Labrie. I love what he does as a solo, but it ain't too different to Dream Theater. Like, you might as well just put them together and release it as Dream Theater. Now, they should have got James on there. He could have sung on this, and it could have been another Dream Theater album with a different sort of sound, like a lighter sound overall. But it sounds like Dream Theater. Like, there's nothing. If you love that, great, and I do, but I'll probably won't go back to this, you know, because I don't need to hear an instrumental version. Like, I get more out of Satriani than I do out of this.
Okay. Yep.
And, yeah, it's kind of like, what's the point? You know? Yeah, it's great playing. That's what they do. You expect that, you know? I still gave it a 7 out of 10 because, you know, it's a drummer that I love and a guitar player that I've got a huge respect for in a band that I really do like. But the element of change wasn't really there. It could have quite easily been a Dream Theater album. So make it a Dream Theater fucking album. 7 out of 10. The Oddfather and Snake in My Boot, which I think Dave said as well. Good songs. But yeah, it didn't wow me. Didn't, you know, it left me going, okay, I've heard you do all this before.
All right. Brendan.
Well, it wowed the shit out of me.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. This is one of the best guitar instrumental albums I've ever heard.
Whoa.
In all honesty, I think this is incredible. I put this up there with like Passion and Warfare and Surfing with the Alien.
See, they're way more diverse than this, man.
This bullshit. This is an amazing. This is an amazing piece of work, and I'll go one step further with my adoration of this thing because I've been listening to this non-stop for all week and love it. This is better than any Dream Theater album I've ever heard. If James's vocals had to come in over this, it would have ruined it for me.
But that's what you need. You need, because there's such good musicians that the vocalist was never going to be good enough. So, you know.
He captured that wonderful balance that you guys were alluding to of that. The problem with the guitar instrumental thing is it can turn into either, you know, a bit of a sort of whiny guitar track, or it could just turn into musical masturbation. And I think he just found that wonderful little bit in the middle where he captured a song using only instruments and no vocal. And it was just, to me, this is an absolute masterpiece. I absolutely adored it. I can't stop listening to it. It's the best thing I've heard all year. 10 out of 10.
Fuck. Wow. Okay. No particular standouts, just the whole thing for you then,
Yes, there were standouts. Terminal Velocity, Glass-Eyed Zombies, of course, because that was fucking incredible. And Snake in My Boot. And that, was that the country kind of one? It had the...
Yeah, Snake in My Boot had the country playing to it,
That was cool.
So it was like a rock sort of vibe.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great album. Amazing.
It's funny that Dave mentioned Out of the Blue before, because I got a bit of an Eric Clapton vibe out of that. From that one. But for me, clinical and precise is the best way to describe this. My first pass on this wasn't overly great. It didn't grab me on the first go through, but I do tend to go back to listen to things more than once, and there's a reason for that, because this does get better the more you sit with it. this is very polished, very crisp, very clear in all facets, from sound to style to the way it's done. The whole thing is just that. It's not a lot of these ones that go down this more clinical approach become really devoid of soul, and this one doesn't suffer from that as much as a lot of the other ones do, which is very, very cool. It's not as much feel to the playing as I'd personally enjoy, but it's more of a taste thing than anything else. It's still very, very well done. Like, the execution is fucking brilliant. So it took me a minute to appreciate it, but once I appreciated it, it sort of got me. And it's like, okay, you can sit back and go, okay, this is really good, because it does. There are the moments of wankery on it. There are some parts that for me are overplayed on this, and I don't think they serve the song all that well. But at the same time, it still has an element of taste to it, which does save it from, you know, the Mallinson effect of just fucking going nuts for no purpose whatsoever. At least you could get the point of what was going on with these songs, even for me, who doesn't generally like this sort of release. The ability on display is nothing short of phenomenal from everyone. That said, there are moments on this that did annoy me, and this is going to piss off a lot of people on this panel right now, because Happy Song was one of those tracks that pissed me off.
That's cool.
It was by the numbers. It's like, hey, look, I've got this many musical theory fucking things coming out the wazoo. Look how good I am.
Jesus, I wish I could do that by the numbers.
No, fuck. Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's elitist. It's from the top down, from the title. Happy Song? Fucking really? And then they go and play the major chords, make it almost like a power pop punk song. It's like, fuck off. I didn't
What
want
kind
to
of power pop punk are you listening to?
Obviously not the same shit. It was some 41-ish kind of territory. Is where
Oh,
they
dear.
got that one into. Fuck.
I need a drink. Wrap it up.
Now, if you're into the whole prog technical side of things, this will rattle your cage and get you going. This will get you going. But this, at the same time, for what Mick was saying too, I do agree, it didn't bring anything really new to the table for me either. There's nothing you haven't heard before being done on this particular record. It's all very well done, but it's not, oh my God, it didn't have that effect. I mean, I'm glad it did for Brendan. I'm actually surprised at that, but for me, it didn't grab me the way it did.
I've never heard him do Out of the Blue, though. That track really surprised me.
Yeah, but you're much more in line with his career and stuff than I am, and I'm just taking this album on its own, on its merits, and there was nothing on here that I haven't heard from other guitarists doing this sort of stuff before. So it wasn't, do you know what I mean? I'm looking for something to make it leap out from the pack, and while it wasn't as bad as a lot of the other ones I've heard, this is much better than a lot of the ones. I enjoyed this a lot more. I'm always very cautious of these releases because I tend to find they fall into the elitism trap where it's like, okay, look at all the things I can do because I can, and just because you can doesn't mean you should.
You should.
But that said, this is a lot better than all those ones that I'm generally critiquing when I say those sort of words. I think this one is a lot better than the rest, just not as highly regarded as what's been done here. I think it's worth persisting with this one too because it does grow on you the more you listen to it. I gave this one at least 3 passes and I enjoyed it more each time. But I'm not sure that now that we've gone through this point, I'm not sure there's anything here that's going to drag me back to it. There's a few songs that I'll go back to, but the whole thing, I don't know if I'll sit through it again. So for me, it was good. It's not as up there as other people have said here. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Glassy-Eyed Zombie seems to be a general standout for everyone, which is pretty cool. I also picked Temple of Circadia and Snake in My Boot as well.
Right.
So yeah, there we go. Let us know your thoughts out there in the comments. I'm sure that that didn't quite go the way I thought it'd go. I thought it'd be a bit more.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Surprised Brendan liked it so much.
Yeah, that was the big surprise for me.
Yeah.
You know, I compared this one to I know that if you want to go technical proficiency in that, we listened to the, Brendan and I did the John 5 album.
John 5, love that album.
And that's what I'm looking for. That was fun, energy, feel, all those things. And that's what's going to get my attention a lot more than one like this. Yes, okay, Tim, I know you're shaking your head.
That was a great album. Come on.
That was fantastic. But all right, let's move on. Let's go to the big guns while Dave has disappeared and left his gun.
We got to have a refill. P-break and refill.
Oh, you're going to have a quick break. Okay, cool. We'll do a dodgy edit right about here.